Whether or not to vaccinate your child is a major decision that every parent must make, and there is so much confusing information out there. In this presentation, we will discuss some of the facts about vaccination, as well as some of the fiction and outright lies that are out there. First, let's look at exactly what the immune system is and what vaccination does. Our bodies have a defense system made up of 3 divisions. The first 2 are general divisions and are called innate immunity. The first is a simple blocking system, like a wall around a city. It is our skin along with the mucous membrane linings of our lungs and digestive system. Their purpose is to stop bacteria and viruses from getting into the body. If the wall is breached, for example through a cut, the second division kicks into action. This division is mainly made of cells in the immune system called phagocytes. They circulate in the blood and lymph system and destroy any invading bacteria and viruses, which are collectively called pathogens. They are not specific and simply attack what is recognized as foreign. This is a slow and fairly random technique that our body uses to hold off the invaders until the third line of defense can get prepared. That takes time, and that is why a cold or flu lasts about 5 days. Because our immune system doesn't know how to target the pathogens right away, there is a chance that the pathogens could multiply quicker than this second level of defense can fight them, and that can lead to severe disease or even death. Our third line of defense uses another cell in the immune system called lymphocytes. It is called adaptive immunity because when our body encounters a pathogen for the first time, it adapts and learns to recognize a protein on the surface called an antigen. It builds up the ability to fight it by beginning to create specific antibodies to that antigen. These antibodies act like flags, attaching to the antigen and marking the pathogen for destruction. Antibodies mean that there now can be a targeted immune response. Lymphocytes make antibodies. The next time the pathogen gets into the body, lymphocytes are ready and start creating large quantities of antibodies as soon as the antigen is detected. It is so fast that you might not even know you've been exposed to the pathogen. That is why someone that has had chickenpox usually won't be able to develop it again. This third line of defense is where vaccinations help. Vaccinations help the body prepare to fight pathogens by presenting a very safe version of the pathogen and allowing the body to create the lymphocytes so that we can be ready to fight when the dangerous version is encountered. There are 3 different types of vaccines. The first uses live pathogens that have been made so weak they can only reproduce about 20 times, instead of the thousands of times a full-strength one could. This is called a live attenuated vaccine. Because this vaccine does use live pathogen, a small percentage of people can develop a very mild form of the disease, but usually no more than a low-grade fever and runny nose. Examples of this type are the measles, mumps, and rubella given in a combination vaccine. The second uses either whole dead pathogen or just pieces of dead pathogen that have the antigen attached. These are called inactivated or killed vaccines, and the one that uses pieces is referred to as a subunit vaccine. Because the dead pathogen does not reproduce, the immune system response is not as robust, and that is why these vaccines may require multiple shots over a period of time to have full effectiveness. Examples of this type of vaccine are HPV, poliovirus, and influenza. The third is called a toxoid vaccine. A toxin, created by the target bacteria, is inactivated, and this inactivated form is called a toxoid. It stimulates the immune system to mount an attack against the toxin that the bacteria produces, thereby also attacking the bacteria. Examples of this type are tetanus and diphtheria. Now that we have the facts about vaccination and vaccines, let's take a look at some of the fiction and outright lies that are out there. Myth number 1. Vaccines cause autism. The facts. This myth was started in 1998 by Dr. Andrew Wakefield. Wakefield looked at only 12 children and claimed to find a link between the MMR vaccine and autism, saying the issues were either the preservative thimerosal, which contains mercury, or the fact that the 3 vaccines were given together. In reality, the MMR vaccine didn't contain thimerosal. Thimerosal was removed from all children's vaccines in 2001, and the rate of autism continues to rise. Most psychiatrists agree that the increase in autism rates is partially explained due to greater awareness and the vague diagnostic criteria. As well, it has been shown that in autism there is a genetic component and evidence of abnormal brain structure. Wakefield was stripped of his medical license because of numerous ethical violations in the study, including doing invasive tests on the children that weren't necessary, and not revealing that his study was funded by lawyers of parents trying to sue the vaccine manufacturers. In 1997, shortly before the study was released, Wakefield created and patented a measles vaccine that would have been very successful had the MMR vaccine been discredited. Prior to the press conference to announce the findings, Wakefield and 4 other doctors agreed to recommend parents continue to give their babies the MMR vaccine. Wakefield was the only one to change his mind. The journal that the paper was originally published in retracted it, and numerous studies have proven that Wakefield was wrong. There is strong suspicion that he manipulated data and lied for personal and financial gain. Now that you know these facts, the question to ask yourself is, can Wakefield be trusted? Myth number 2. The vaccines will overwhelm the baby's developing immune system. The facts. Babies are exposed to millions of pathogens every day. Their immune systems are designed to constantly work to create antibodies for all the new things they encounter. The antigens in the vaccines are treated just like everything else, by creating antibodies. The amount of antigens given is such a very small amount, just enough to activate the response, that the vaccine cannot overwhelm the baby's system. In fact, the thymus gland, where the lymphocytes mature, is much bigger in proportion in a baby than an adult. This means that babies are even more able to create antibodies than adults. In fact, there's mounting evidence that we are doing more damage to our children by limiting their exposure to germs in early life. Children not exposed to germs early in life have a greater incidence of allergies, asthma, and autoimmune disease. Just like the brain needs stimulation through play and interaction in order to develop correctly, the baby's system needs exposure to germs to develop fully. Vaccines help the immune system develop properly. Myth number 3. Nobody in our area has these diseases anymore, so vaccination isn't necessary. The facts. The only disease that has been wiped out is smallpox, and that was due only to vaccinations. The other diseases are still in North America, and additionally, in today's age of international travel, all it takes is one person to bring these dangerous pathogens back from other parts of the world where they are more common. These diseases are highly infectious. 90% of unvaccinated people exposed to measles are infected. In Ireland, when just a small percentage of babies didn't receive vaccinations, cases of measles jumped by 800%. Of the 5 U.S. measles outbreaks in 2008, every person but one was unvaccinated. The cases of mumps in England and Wales jumped from 94 in 1996 to 43,378 in 2005 after people stopped vaccinating their children due to Wakefield's claims. On the other hand, cases of rubella were 24,570 during a year before vaccination. After vaccination, it dropped to just 30 cases in 1 year. Keeping diseases like measles, mumps, and rubella out of our communities relies on what is called herd immunity. This means that enough people in the community are immune to the disease that they protect the few that cannot be made immune. Therefore, if one person brings the disease back to a vaccinated community, there cannot be an outbreak because the vast majority of people are unable to spread the pathogens. It is generally agreed that herd immunity requires that 80 to 95% of the population be immune. Any lower than that amount, and the disease is able to get a foothold and spread to the people in a community that are not immune because they are immunocompromised, are not vaccinated, or the vaccination was not successful. The easiest way people become immune is to be vaccinated. So, when you vaccinate your children, you're not only protecting them from these deadly diseases, you are also protecting the most vulnerable members of your community that are not able to be protected any other way. Myth number 4. It is more natural to risk getting the disease. The facts. These diseases maim and kill. Babies are small, their airways are tiny, their muscles and bones are still growing. This means the effects of these diseases are even worse for them. Measles can cause high fever, bronchitis, and inflammation of the air passages leading to the lungs, encephalitis, a swelling in the brain, otis media, which can cause hearing loss, and thrombocytopenia, a blood disorder which prevents the blood from clotting properly. Polio attacks the nervous system, destroying nerve cells. It can cause quadriplegia and even death if it affects the muscles for breathing. Even if the child survives, usually full muscle control is never regained. We are now seeing the effects of post-polio syndrome, when 10 to 40 years after the initial infection, post-polio syndrome causes further muscle weakness, joint pain, and skeletal deformities. You can pause this video and read stories from parents of children who weren't vaccinated and caught one of these diseases on the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's website. There are many natural things that are deadly, and we protect our children from them. These diseases are just one example. That being said, vaccines are naturally based. We are being exposed to a safe version of the pathogen, and a small amount that we don't get sick. We simply gain immunity. These are just some of the many myths and lies that are out there about vaccinations. You want the very best for your child, so when you're looking at information, please consider if it's credible and reliable by looking at the following. What are the qualifications of the author? Does he or she have authority in the field? What organizations or institutions are the author associated with? Is there a way to contact them for more information? Has the author published in academic peer-reviewed journals? This means his or her work has been looked at by other experts and deemed sound. Is the person biased? Is he or she trying to sell you something? Or is he or she being objective? Is the website current? Or are there broken links, old information, or old news? When was it last updated? Is there a list of where the author obtained his or her information? Can you go to find the original information yourself? What type of website is it? Personal, special interest group, professional, government, academic, news, commercial? Each type of site has different standards, and just because the site looks official does not mean it isn't someone's personal opinion. Think about what you're reading. Are they giving you proven facts that have been double and triple checked? Or are they giving you their opinion with little or no proven evidence? At the end of this presentation, you will find a list of all the sources used. Vaccinations save lives. Our grandparents knew that, and that's why there was no question about having children vaccinated. So the children would have a future free of disease and full of choice about what they could do and where they could go. Vaccinations are the main reason why life expectancy has increased so much over the past 100 years. When thinking about vaccinations, remember the facts, not the fiction and lies. Thank you for your time.